So you want to be at the Met in 2 weeks' time, 29th of January. Don't miss it. If you can be there, be there. Right now we're talking to Clifford Barnett, and I think you were wrongly billed as Corlett. You don't look like a Corlett at all, Clifford.
Not too bad.
But thank you for joining us from the SA Metal Group. Now this is an organization funded or founded to really support heavy metal rockers that are not doing particularly well in the industry. No, of course not. This is SA Metal as far as recycling is concerned. Now you guys have got some top-end technology that recycles or literally sources scrap metal from the strangest of places. Tell us a bit about what SA Metal does, Clifford.
Well, SA Metal was founded by my grandfather back in 1919. Been around for 92 years, and sure, we get scrap metal from a myriad of sources, anything from those casual collectors who pick up tin cans at the side of the road to jumbo jets, submarines, frigates, and industrial scrap.
And you're keeping our country green, as it were, by taking that scrap metal and actually reusing it properly and appropriately.
Scrap metal is probably the only self-sustaining recycling industry in the world. And it works because it's economically viable for people to collect metal, and they can sustain a good lifestyle. You'll be surprised that these horse and carts who collect metal at the side of the road, and you see them, those guys can pull in 2,000–3,000 rand a day just collecting scrap metal off the street.
Now, you pay for that, but what if I'm buying scrap metal somewhere? How do I know I'm not buying sort of stolen scrap metal? Because I'm sure there's a black market for scrap metal, isn't there?
Sure, and it's probably one of the biggest challenges in our industry. But we have a very rigorous procedure, and we ask ourselves a simple question: could you have legitimately got hold of the metal that you're trying to sell to us? And then we photograph the metal, take identity documentation, and usually people who have got hot or stolen material don't like to come anywhere near us.
Okay, because you're that regulated. I mean, if I had to come to you and say, look, I've got a Boeing that I found, off the N1, would you want to buy it from me?
Well, we'd love to process it. In fact, not so long ago, there was a company nationwide who dropped one of their engines on the runway in Cape Town International. Well, that plane never left Cape Town. And a couple of months ago, we had the pleasure of ripping it to pieces. And strangely enough, to take a 737 apart took 1 hour.
1 hour?
1 hour, and we'd removed it from the airport.
My word. Now, what happens to that metal?
Well, what we have to do is provide recycled raw material for people who melt metal. So we have to identify the different kinds of metal, sort it, and then put it into a form that it can be charged into a furnace. So we put it through our shredding operation, then laborious hand sorting to separate all the different metals, and then off it goes to a country somewhere where they can do something useful with it.
Clifford, so, I mean, the whole green consciousness has become something of a buzzword in the last sort of couple of years, but you've been doing this since 1919.
Not me personally.
No, sure, your grandfather, yes, you are. No, and hats off to you for doing that. Now, you've got some amazing sort of recycling locations or areas where you source scrap metal from. Tell us a bit about those.
Yeah, well, primarily our base is in the Western Cape, but recently we started operations in Johannesburg about 10 years ago, and we have operations in Pretoria, Johannesburg, and then all over the Western Cape. And then we have associates that we deal with throughout the country. And of course, metal comes in from neighboring countries. We're busy at the moment in Namibia, where we've been recycling a diamond mine. It used to be the biggest diamond mine in the world. For 100 years, they only let diamonds leave and no equipment. And we've taken 80,000 tons of scrap metal out of the desert over the last 2 years.
Well, you certainly are ensuring a good future for our kids. What about our dump sites, in Johannesburg? Were you getting metal out of that? Are you able to extract ferrous metal from that?
Well, we extract all metals, ferrous and non-ferrous. But there's a very comprehensive collection process. And you never find tin cans lying at the side of the road in South Africa, because it is economically viable for somebody who's unemployed to go and pick it up and then employ themselves.
Right. Well, if you want to know more, that's all on our website, and just Google SA Metal and find out what they're doing and how you can help in making this planet a whole lot greener than it already is. Well, we're going to kids cooking next, and after that, the big competition between windsurfers and kiteboarders. I'm all for kiteboarders. Coming up after the break.